The next series of software engineering, we will discuss about this test strategy. Process of database testing. Database testing is a type of software testing that checks the schema, tables, triggers, etc. of the database under test. It involves creating complex queries for performing the load or stress test on the database and checks its responsiveness. It checks integrity and consistency of data. The process of database testing usually consists of a layered process that includes the user interface layer, the business layer, the data access layer, and the database. Let we consider the process database testing flow. So test environment setup. So this is a test scenario generation, execution, analysis, and log defects. In the test environment setup, we'll look for the test environment which fits for the product. So based on the user case and based on the system delivery and the test strategy, we look for the environment. And the next is we look for the test scenario and the generations. And third one, we look for the executions. How does it execute? What process does it involves in these executions? And what are the analysts? We are looking for the test scenarios. The last one we look for the log defects. What are the defects which look for the process? So let us consider the process of database testing is test environment setup. Database testing starts with setting up the testing environment for the test process to be carried out in order to get a good quality of testing process. Test scenario generation. After setting up the test environment, test cases are designed for conducting the test. Test scenarios involves different inputs and different transactions related to database. Execution is the core phase of testing process in which the testing is conducted. It is basically related to the execution of the test cases designed for testing. Unless once the execution phase is ended, then all the process and the output obtained is analyzed. It is checked whether the testing process has been conducted properly or not. So the logs defects and report submitting the last phase test inform the developers about the defects found in database system. So next is we look upon for the random testing cases. So random testing is a software testing in which the system is tested and helps of generation of random and independent inputs and test cases. Random testing is also named monkey testing. It is a black box assessment outline technique in which the tests are being chosen randomly and the results are being compared by some software identification to check whether the output is correct or incorrect. Some important points about random testings are first examined by Melvin Brewer in the year 1971. This testing was initially accessed by Pratima and Vishavani Agarwal in the year 1975 to check the success output of the software. So for random testing, there is also a book that contains some formulas for the number of tests that can be taken and number of successful results and failure cases. This is a working process of random testing. So random testing case generator, inputs is supplied and the quick check is done. How many test cases are executed or run the test cases. System under test is generated and vulnerable outputs are generated here and take necessary actions to test the activity, report the failure and comparative with the working process or working model. So working random test, some steps we have to follow. Around 5 steps are there. Input output process. Here we identify the input domains. Next, select test inputs independently randomly from the input domains. Test the system on these inputs and form a random test set. Compare the results with your system specification. If the report fails, then take necessary action. The below image represents the working of random testing more clearly. Thank you.